Okay, welcome back to Fast Jet Performance then. My name is Tim Davies and today we're going to talk about the first Sea Lord of the Royal Navy, Ben Key, who says that diversity targets in the military make him nervous. Yeah, and he should be nervous, mate, because this is absolutely criminal. He's right to speak out about this. What he says is that the MOD is aiming for 30% of armed forces new recruits to be women by 2030. I've spoken about this before. I've done a significant amount of videos on this. I don't have an issue with this 30% women in the military. I honestly couldn't care less. I think, fine, bring it. Why not? Why not 40%? Why not 50% after all? But it's a figure that is picked out of thin air, and it's a hugely damaging figure as well because it's not finance. You can have 30%, and if we scroll down the article here, it actually says the 30 by 30 policy, first set in 2021 by former Defence Secretary Ben Wallace, threatens to cause controversy. It's unachievable in the current financing of our military. You can do it. Back of fag packet calculations for me say the military needs to be 1.4 to 1.5 times the size in order to accommodate 30% women. Now, I will put a caveat on that, and I'll come back to that caveat a little bit later because there is a reason that you could actually do this with the current spending if ... It'd be quite interesting, all right? And again, your comments are really important to me, guys, because I realise rabbit holes, we can all go down them, don't get me wrong, and maybe I've gone down one on this. However, I think if I have gone down a rabbit hole, it's the same one that Ben's gone down here. He's saying he felt nervous about it. And I would say that as well. And he's very careful about what he says here. Now, remember the Royal Air Force, going back to a few months ago, they apologised unreservedly for a related diversity drive to recruit more women and people from ethnic minority backgrounds, that the Ministry of Defence subsequently accepted, and that had discriminated against white men. Now, I won't go too much into detail of this because I deeply respect the security forces of this great nation. I do, as you know, work out under a Union flag and the St George's cross in the morning in my garage every day. I will just say though that I know I'm being looked at by certain elements within the security organisation, because I know people within them, as a white supremacist, and I want to get to the end of this video and I want to show you how ridiculous that is, because I've taught all people I can see why it happens, and I do respect these people, but it's absolutely ridiculous. So, white supremacist, it's crazy. I'll go through it in a minute though, because I want your comments down here. Addressing an audience at the Royal United Services Institute, he said that he was concerned that women's career could be held back in the Navy because, for example, they could become pregnant, preventing them serving on submarines. What people don't realise, in the military, you've got to be there every year to get a report. If you're not there and you miss a report, it massively hampers your promotion prospects. This is a societal issue. This is not a military issue. So we need to take this up sort of governmental level or anything else, because if I've got a bloke who's been written up, I can see what he's done that year, and I've got a woman who hasn't been written up because she hasn't been that year. Irrespective, she's had a kid, fine, I get all that. I haven't got no information on her. There's no information on the women, there's only information on the man. I can't literally put them together. I can't compare the two career strands because that woman didn't do anything that year apart from have a kid. Don't get me wrong, my sister's a feminist as well. I fully understand it, and that is valuable for society, more so than we ever know, by the way. We need to have more kids. If we don't have more kids soon, the whole world collapses, population, all that kind of stuff collapse. We understand that. It's a massive issue. However, in a military context, he is better than her, because I can see what he's done over the last year, and I can see that she hasn't done anything at all. Yes, we get paternity leave and everything else. The other thing I will say, whilst we go through this article here, that's such a problem. He says it's an issue with submarines, and it is, because on a submarines, women don't get the healthcare you'd expect to get if you are on land. And of course, a woman can't be put onto a submarine if she's pregnant. A woman cannot be put into an airplane if she's pregnant. I know the Americans are doing this on some of their bigger fleet, but in the UK, as far as I know, if you are pregnant, I don't think we're letting women fly in aircraft. We're most definitely not letting women fly in fast jet combat aircraft. I know this because I taught quite a lot of them. I always say to women that are coming through the flight school that I was teaching on when to have a child, they used to ask me, I used to say, have it as soon as you can, out of training as soon as you can. Had a chat in my flight school this morning, looking across to my flight school here on another monitor. The guys were saying, get the women to just sign a piece of paper to say they won't have kids. In fact, the guys weren't saying that. One guy was saying that. The rest of the guys were like, dude, you can't do that. That's ridiculous, all right? We've all got mothers. We've all got sisters. We've all got wives. We've all got daughters, all right? We understand that, all right? It's something that we have to work out. It's not an easy one at all. But I am saying that it needs to be done, and it needs to be gripped, because this is an absolute mess. I've been saying it for years, by the way. We'll look at my YouTube videos in a minute. He says they need to modernise the Royal Navy to attract the next generation of sailors and submariners and Marines. They do. There's a big problem with this though, is that I think the young people, Gen Z, who I am a fan of, and I've said this before on my channel, realise that a lot of these wars we're going into at the moment are for the financial gain of a minority of people. And of course, the rabbit holes, all that kind of stuff, guys, I just believe that to be true. Smedley Butler, war is a racket. Of course it is. I'm not saying current wars are like that or anything else, although I have alluded to that in the past on Twitter. And did that not blow up? Yes, it did blow up on Twitter. So I had to mute a few people. The drive to recruit 30% women each year by 2030 will be difficult to achieve, if not impossible. Also, women are quite transitory in the military. That's what I found. They come in, they don't always stay that long because they have children and they leave. And when you've had a kid, and I don't know because I haven't got any children, but I've spoken to my dudes that have had, your life kind of perspective changes a little bit. And I think for a woman, putting yourself back into a combat aircraft is quite a difficult choice to make voluntarily. It's like, but I've got someone to look after now. I understand that. So you can see in the Navy they count for about 13%, and in the Air Force they don't. They count higher for 16% women, but the Air Force has the lowest number of minorities at about 3%. Chief of Defence Staff, who's actually above this guy, Tony Radakin, should feel more than nervous. He should refuse point blank to implement diversity. This is my theory here as well. The armed force is not a social experiment. Preach! Now the bulwark that stands between the country and its enemies. As a former infantryman, what a lad. A lot of time for this guy already. I can write categorically that the infantry doesn't discriminate. Of course it doesn't. And what he means is it doesn't discriminate against people based on their ethnicity, etc., etc. What he's saying is it does discriminate based on blind, lame, mentally challenged. Those who pass initial scrutiny and undergo a rigorous training regime designed to weed out the weak, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, I get that. What matters is they meet the standards. I keep talking about standards. People don't understand it, and I understand they don't understand the standards. Brilliant, well done, Davies. The battlefield is a harsh and unforgiving place where only the best will do. Diversity not to begin. There's no place for diversity on the battlefield. What I mean by that is the bullet doesn't care what colour or gender you are. I think Ukraine's proved that more than enough times. And the same thing with aircraft. They just don't know. When you strap in, you don't type in, by the way, I'm a minority kid out of North London. It doesn't know. It's just going to kill you if you're not good enough. This is an interesting one then, isn't it? So I think we can see where this is permeating into all our public institutions. Unfortunately, I don't want to keep this too long, 7 minutes. The woke virus hit Royal Navy officers and they're taught to question their white privilege. What the fuck is going on with this? This is how you break down this kind of thing. This is what happens here. This is what pisses me off there. I swore that on my own channel. They're told to use the right pronouns to avoid offending the ratings. I think seniors believe this to be relevant, whereas young people are like, whatever, I just want to join and serve my country and be the best I can. And then they get wrapped up in all this rubbish and they're like, you know what, I'll go and take a job somewhere else because this is never going to end. We've been absolutely subverted by foreign actors, and some of those foreign actors, by the way, are inside our own government. This is the problem I have with the British government. It's a civil service. It's what we call fifth columnists. It's what happened in 1984. It's these insurrectionists, the people inside that are now enacting their own policy, and a lot of these people should know better, but they don't. Absolute criminal. And I was looked at as a white supremacist, in fact, by the government, because I know people in the government agencies. I'm not going to talk about it too much more than that. However, we'll have a look in a minute and I'll prove to you why that's not the case. I'm not a white supremacist. I taught people of all genders, sexes, whatever you want to call it, ethnicities, and anyone in the military that knows me, go and ask them, was Tim a white supremacist? They'd be like, what are you talking about? They probably won't actually, because a lot of these men are very weak now and they don't want to speak out about these things, even though I know the Royal Air Force is briefing against me. It's saying that I'm racist, I think it was, and a homophobe. Well, I'm going to speak to my mate Big Black Sam about that, and he's gay. Big Black Gay Sam. Although don't go clubbing with him, it's a nightmare. I'm not even joking. If you're not gay, don't go gay clubbing. It's a real eye opener. I don't want to look at that again, basically. Yeah. Sometimes people complain it's about identity politics. Well, it is, of course, we know that. So yeah, we know that. Oh, privileged. Shut up. I know some of the most underprivileged people that I know are young white boys. Again, we've got this thing now with the Royal Air Force skipping through very quickly, and what we're saying is on the diversity drive then no one was picked up for this. The Royal Air Force said, well, it was incorrect legal advice. So we've got Air Marshal Mike Wigston. He was driving that in there. It didn't work out well for him. Maria Byford's still in the service. I think she's been sidelined, hopefully anyway. Joe Lincoln, married to Paul Lincoln, who's the ex-boss of Border Force. You can see how these things tie in now. And then, of course, William Dole, who was the person who enacted the policy to bring all the minorities in en masse, and the women, to get the statistics up, and he got an OBE for doing so. And unfortunately, Elizabeth Nicole, who took over the role after William Dole, she got nothing, and she left the service, or leaving the service. But I think she's bringing a civil suit against them. Diversity, not on the Royal Marines, mate. Right, because I look at that, and I don't see a black guy holding a rifle. I see a Royal Marine. And I think every Royal Marine would say exactly the same thing. That's a Royal Marine right there. And if you scroll down, the Royal Marines don't care. They're not doing that for any other effect. Let's click on this. They're showing the new rifle off. What a great rifle this is, by the way. I believe it's made in America. Probably rightly so. We don't have the ability to have that capacity over here to start building and experimenting with another L85A1. or S80 as they used to call it. Look at that, looks fantastic, doesn't it? The L403A1, I believe all the Royals are going to get this. Looks fantastic, this rifle. Again, is that dude black? Is that dude white? I don't care, he's Royal. Or he's a target, there's another one as well, isn't he? So they don't care, and I love the Royal Marines for it. They're absolutely brilliant. They're full on, the Royal Marines. They're like, yeah, you can do all that diversity stuff if you want to, we don't care, we're just Royal. You join, you better be good enough, you better be good enough. And that's what I'm saying to all the women and men that want to join up the military as well. You better be good enough. My films then I put out, guys, are these ones here, and if we scroll down from my page, I started talking about this about a year and a bit ago. I think the first one I made was this one here, Not White Male, What Is Going On? Shocking email, that came out, and then after that I just got hit by loads of stuff from the military. Go woke, go broke, the death of flying training, no white men here, RF does not want white men. Some of these videos, 70,000 on there, 140, I mean, some of these, look, discrimination into the RF, it just went, look, exposed, shocking email. I hate this stuff. I don't want to talk about this stuff. It doesn't do my business any good. We're teaching people, but it's there. RF discriminations on talk radio. Police are discriminating. The whole thing is absolutely ridiculous, guys. If you want to comment about that, please do. Hit some of those videos for me. And the last thing I would say is I do send money to these guys here. This is a school in Albany in Georgia. King Randall, the third school, I believe it is, for young boys. Life prep school. He teaches them all. It's a black school, actually. A very impoverished area in Georgia. I send them money. You can donate there if you want to. He's on Twitter, King Randall the third. And he teaches them things like motor care, home improvement workup. He teaches them literacy, gets these young black kids through. Now, of course, I do realise that if I was a white supremacist, I would be bringing this up, but I'm not a white supremacist. And I have spoken to King on this before. His school was actually really badly damaged. It was burgled recently, so I need to send him some more cash. Helping young men out here, and that's what we should be doing. So I realise that, people are probably coming for me, probably coming against me. That's always going to happen. But I'll leave this by saying that you can have 30% women in the military if you want. You need to make it significantly better, as I said, or bigger, sorry, as I said. Or, here's the other thing that you need to do. You need to guarantee that you do not go into any more conflicts. So you never go abroad to fight any wars. You stay at home. And I think that's the thing that our government knows that we don't know, is that they are not intending to go out and to fight any more overseas conflicts again. They're going to do it all through finances and everything else, and that soft power coercion. They don't intend to actually go. We've got 7 squadrons of fast jets. 7. No more. 7 squadrons of fast jets. That's all we've got in the UK. Incredible. Really think about it. It's amazing when you think about what we have. That's it, guys. Look, the comments are really useful because we've got to hash this out. Do you think then that we can have a military where we have 30% women? Is that going to be sustainable when it looks at, maternity care and everything else? Because if I had women that missed a month's worth of flying training, we'd have to back course them straight away onto the course behind. They'd be working with people they hadn't worked with before then, having to spin themselves up, and that's a month out. So we put them out for what, 9 months plus the extra bit at the end? Is that going to be possible? Is it even fair? Can men look after those kids and the women come back to work? Is that possible? Do men want to do that? I know men don't want to look after very young kids because they don't really do very much, do they? Men want to build castles and bow and arrows and all that kind of stuff and play war and stuff. It is what it is. I don't know, I haven't got any kids. Look, hit the comments, guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for taking time to watch this. Watch some more of the videos if you get a chance. Tim Davies, Fast Jet Performance.